Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We have a lot to unpack in today's weather forecast, including a major storm system that has a cold side with major snow and a warm side with heavy rain and severe weather. And we'll also be diving into later into February and early March's weather pattern to dive into those details and give you what you need to know later on in today's weather forecast. So hope everybody had a great weekend out there and a great Monday morning so far. Looking out the door at our temperatures, these are your low temperatures this morning. It is warm across the southeast. Temperatures are into the 50s and 60s down here to start off the day, but behind that, across the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast, and really much of the western third of the country, temperatures are in the teens and 20s starting off the morning. And looking at our IR satellite, the infrared satellite imagery this morning, notice the plume of moisture across the southeastern United States and the origin of the moisture coming from the eastern Pacific Ocean into the western Gulf of Mexico up into our southeastern states. That is feeding into our storm system today, and this is bringing some very heavy rains to portions of Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and even North Carolina this morning, with the potential also for some severe weather. And then on the cold side, we have snowflakes, some wet snow falling across the Tulsa region, Joplin, Missouri, getting into Springfield, Missouri here this morning. So a definitely slippery travel across those areas heading out the door today. As we go into the afternoon, here are your high temperatures across the country. Pretty seasonable to above normal with our temperatures here. Much of the north central states into the 30s and 40s this afternoon. South of there into the southern plains and the southeast, 50s, 60s, and 70s, and even 80s down here into south central Florida there into the Orlando region, Tampa Bay, and Miami, Florida, as we go into this afternoon. If you like detailed weather breakdowns across North America and the tropics once tropical weather season gets here and throughout 2024, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below for accurate weather forecasts right here on this channel. And I would love to hit 100,000 subscribers by spring, and you can help me get there simply by subscribing to the channel down below and also pressing the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. So let's go back here to yesterday's severe weather event across the southern plains in the lower Mississippi Valley on the 11th of February, Super Bowl Sunday. And you can see primarily hail reports. We had 39 hail reports, 7 of those being of the 2-inch variety or larger. And we also had 1 tornado reported across southeastern Texas, north and west of the Houston Metroplex yesterday as well. Well, that same storm system is moving across the southeast through today. You can see the low pressure down to a 999 millibars across portions of the Mississippi-Alabama state line today, and it will continue to march east-northeastward as we go into tonight, diving down into portions of the West Virginia area, Western Virginia, and North Carolina down to a 991 millibar low. And if you don't know, a strong low pressure system is typically under 1,000 millibars. The lower the number, the stronger the low pressure system. And as we go into Tuesday, that will kick off the coast just to the east of Cape Cod and Nantucket there, and that is a 977 millibar low. We have cold air coming in on the backside, and that is going to feed in to our major snowstorm across the Northeast and New England going into our Tuesday time frame. But first things first here, let's talk about the warm side of the storm, because severe weather can be dangerous, and we want to get you the updated information on that. Here are your dew point temperatures as we go into peak daytime heating this afternoon, and see all the way up into eastern Tennessee, the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. Dew points will be at least into the middle 50s, if not the 60s out here the further south you go. And typically what you need for severe weather are 55-degree Fahrenheit dew points or higher to see any real chance for severe weather. And you can see the instability values. This is your CAPE, convective available potential energy. This is essentially the energy needed for thunderstorm development and severe weather. Notice it's lacking a little bit across this region. We don't have really high values, But we do have the threat for severe weather. We have a strong enough low pressure system, so we have a marginal risk of severe weather, a level 1 out of 5 in the dark green here. This covers the Raleigh region, Charlotte, back there toward Asheville and Knoxville, and then back into the Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Huntsville, and Atlanta metro area. In the yellow shaded color, that is a level 2 out of 5, a slight risk of severe weather covering portions of Charleston, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia there into the Macon, Georgia region, Tallahassee, Panama City there down into Montgomery, and also Mobile, Alabama here today as well. And what is concerning with the setup is we have a very strong mid-level jet in the 500 millibar layer of the atmosphere, just a few thousand feet above our heads, moving in out of the west-southwest, some fairly fast winds aloft. And you look at the low-level jet, just a few hundred to a couple thousand feet up as well at 850 millibar layer. Not very strong, but enough for some rotating thunderstorms. So if we can see one or two of those storms acquire some rotation, then a couple of tornadoes will be possible, especially there into the Montgomery region, Panama City, Tallahassee, and up toward Macon, Georgia, as we go through peak daytime heating. And that tornado potential could make its way up into southern South Carolina later on today as well. So let's walk you through the timing here of the severe weather threat. Through the morning hours, we're going to have numerous thunderstorms roaming the landscape across Alabama there in towards Georgia and northwestern Florida. Any one of these thunderstorms will be capable of producing damaging winds, large hail, and a couple of tornadoes even this morning. And then as we go into the afternoon, the coverage will become a little bit less, but widely scattered severe weather will be possible, especially in the yellow shaded color we showed you across Georgia and into South Carolina. Any one of these storms could acquire some rotation with a little bit of that wind aloft that we were talking about. And then as we go into tonight, that cold front will eventually shift offshore into the western Atlantic basin, putting an end to our severe weather threat overnight tonight and especially after midnight. And you can see that cold front here as we go into tonight that's going to shift further east, and that'll put an end to our severe weather threat, and much drier weather with high pressure will be working in on the backside for much quieter weather later on tonight. But not before producing some very heavy rainfall amounts. These are some healthy totals here across the southeast, and zooming it in to show you how much rainfall you can expect out your door into portions there of North Carolina, South Carolina, through central Georgia especially, and then down here into southeastern Alabama. Widespread rainfall amounts of 2 to as much as 5 inches here, 5 inches in a spot or two across this region through your Wednesday time frame. And this could be cause for concern of some flash flooding, at least in scattered instances across the Carolinas there, into particular South Carolina, Georgia, and into eastern and central portions of Alabama through your Tuesday morning commute. So just make sure to watch out for those roadways, and any flooded roadways, turn around, don't drown. It is never good to drive through flooded waters. Now on the cold side of the system, we are keeping an eye on some heavier snow now moving across the Tulsa region, Joplin, and up towards Springfield, Missouri. Those are areas where we have either winter weather advisories or even winter storm warnings this morning. And looking up at the northeast, we have that I-95 corridor, and also including the Boston region, Hartford, and Rhode Island, getting back in toward New York City there into southeastern New York State, northern and northeastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey. Those are winter storm watches or even winter storm warnings here in the pink shaded color, as we are gearing up for several inches of snow as we go through your Tuesday time frame. So looking at the precipitation through today, it's all rain across the southeast. We already talked about the severe weather threat. The northwest side of that low pressure system could bring us some heavier wet snowflakes across portions of northwestern Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, and southern Missouri through today. Then as we go into tonight, a very narrow zone of some moderate to heavy snow bands setting up across portions of Kentucky, southern Ohio, and down into middle and eastern Tennessee. A couple of these areas could pick up some decent snows from this. And then as that low begins to deepen and move offshore from Nantucket and Cape Cod to the east, the northwest side will be producing those 1 to 2 inch per hour snow bands from Boston down through Hartford and the New York City area. And that could extend back into northern New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania through your Tuesday morning commute. And then by the time we get into Tuesday night or the Tuesday evening rush hour across the Northeast, we should still be wrapping up the snowfall, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a few snow showers or snow flurries lingering into your Tuesday evening commute time frame. Now, looking at our total snowfall between now and Wednesday on the 14th of February, you can see a very narrow but a potent swath of snow from this system. And looking across the Ohio and the Tennessee River valleys, it's not going to be the biggest snowstorm we've ever seen. A spot or two could see 1 to 3 inches of snow. In particular, central Kentucky around the Lexington region could be seeing around 2 to 3 inches worth of snow from the system. Charleston, West Virginia, maybe up to an inch of snow as we go through this time frame. In general, though, for the Ohio and Tennessee River Valley, this is going to be a more of a minor event going through your Tuesday time frame. It starts to get stronger up here to the Northeast, those 1 to 2 inch per hour snow rates going through your Tuesday morning and afternoon, even into the evening commute here. So we could be piling up some of the snow from the I-95 corridor, Boston getting around 6 inches, Hartford around 5 inches here, New York City very close to that rain snow line, but I think you get at least 2 or 3 inches of snow. And then moving down into northern New Jersey, around 2 to 4 inches. And especially here into northeastern and eastern Pennsylvania, I think there's a corridor here where we get to 8 to 12 inches worth of snow going through your Wednesday time frame. So this is more of a moderate to a major snowstorm for the Northeast, including the I-95 corridor as we go through your Wednesday morning commute. Then as we go from Wednesday the 14th through the following weekend, this is next weekend here on Sunday, February 18th, notice we still have that high pressure ridge all the way up spiking into Alaska and the western Canadian provinces, and eastern Canada and the eastern US is still in control with this trough. And that means we're going to have more active weather with northwest flow in the atmosphere. So we're going to have more of these weak systems moving across the northern US going through mid and late week. So starting here on Wednesday, we got one of those Alberta Clipper systems moving out of Alberta, Canada through Saskatchewan and down into the northern plains on Wednesday. That will move across the upper Great Lakes region, could deliver us some decent wet snow across the UP of Michigan, eastern Wisconsin into northern lower Michigan on Thursday. Then back to the west, the Pacific Northwest here in the northern Rockies on Thursday. We'll start to see more heavy wet snow there. That will shift down across the Central Plains on Friday. And then as we go into the weekend, we're just going to see that split flow in the atmosphere. We got northwest flow aloft here across the north, southwest flow across the south. So that means more rain to the south near the Gulf Coast, snow up to the north there, and really not any big systems as we go into the weekend. Just notice it's kind of those nickel and dime type of snowstorms as we go into that Saturday, Sunday time frame. So overall, between Wednesday the 14th and Sunday the 18th of February, we're really not overly concerned about any meaningful precipitation across the United States, unless I guess you live in Northern California, Western Oregon, or Western Washington state. Then we could be talking about some minor flooding areas over there. And then as we look at the total snowfall there during that week time frame from Wednesday through Sunday, you can see just generally those nickel and dime type of snowstorms across the north. The upper Midwest here could see maybe an inch or two of snow. The Great Lakes could see an inch or two of snow around the UP of Michigan into northern lower Michigan and even interior New England. Looking back out west, we got some several inches of snow for the Rockies. The Sierras getting a couple feet of snow potentially. That's not unheard of this time of year, so that's what we're looking at. Now as we go into late February, this is the last week of the month. Notice this is a very good look for snowfall and just winter weather in general across the North America and also the United States in general. You have high pressure blocking all the way up here into northeastern Canada and Greenland. That's going to force those low pressure systems and that storm track further to the south through late February. Looking at our temperature anomalies, we are seeing below normal temperatures out west, a little above normal there in between with a transition, I think, across the Great Plains and Midwest late February, and still hanging on to below normal temperatures here, especially if we lay down a decent snowpack during that snowstorm this week. We'll have below normal temperatures into late February for that I-95 corridor. And looking at the precipitation, it favors the west and the southern and southeastern U.S. as we go through late February. And then you see all that snow mainly piling up in similar similar areas that we see it today across interior New England, upper Midwest there into the Great Lakes, and then back across the Rockies and the Sierras out west as we go into late February. I think things start to get very interesting as we go into early March. Now, take this with a grain of salt. This may change 1.5 million times before we get here, but just looking at the general big picture here of what we could be seeing during the first week in March, we still have that high pressure blocking up here into northeastern Canada and Greenland that will also continue to force our low pressure systems and that general storm track further to the south across the United States here, and especially the southern U.S. with that active subtropical jet. Now, what's coming into play into early March that won't be through February is a much colder air mass spilling from the Alaska area down into western Canada and eventually into the western 2/3 of the country through the west coast, the Intermountain West, and perhaps bleeding into the Great Plains into that first week into March. And an active storm track. I think we could have some of those low pressure systems developing down here into the Texas Panhandle and central Texas, and then turning more toward the north and east up through the Ohio Valley and the Northeast. That would put the rain side across the southeast and the east coast with very heavy rains and also some very heavy moisture content with these storms with some severe weather. And then looking at the snow side, the northwest side of those low pressure system tracks, we'll be looking at some heavier snow from the northern and central plains through the upper Midwest there. I know we've had a little bit of a lull in the snow across the upper Midwest. I think early March could provide us with a decent potential for some snow there through the northern Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, and again, interior New England, and even our friends up here into southeastern Canada could get in on some decent snows into the first week in March. Needless to say, folks, winter is far from over. We have several more days and several weeks to go before winter is finally in the books. So make sure to stay updated here on the weather right here on this channel with accurate weather forecasts moving forward throughout 2024. And the best way to do that is to subscribe to the channel down below. I will continue to keep you covered. Make sure to press the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. And share this video with friends, family, and on social media. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Monday out there.